I'm Dr. Kim Duramo. I just wanted to come in because I finished filming for the next year's World Tapping Summit with Jessica Ortner, and it was so powerful. And I want to share some of the nuggets from that, but also really speak to so much of the fear that's coming up in the world right now, and what I see as a global invitation to shift in our consciousness. The session was on anxiety, which for myself as a physician, I've seen be a major, major underlying cause of so many chronic illness. Like there's fear trapped in the body, or there's just suppression. I don't want to feel what I feel. So let me just fight or flight my way through it. And then a lot of energy gets locked in the body and creates all kinds of like severe, severe illness. Disrupts the DNA, disrupts our immune system, disrupts our digestive system. And the body's like eking it out to try to work with just not having the fluidity that it needs and the energy that it needs in order to conduct those functions. So it's not that the body's broken. It's just that we are functioning in a way that's so stifling. And so when we choose to find some courage to actually feel the fear, feel the experience we're having, feel what's happening here now, energy begins to move. It's the most powerful principle of healing and of creating in our lives, right? Like we want to create abundance in our lives. We want to create prosperity. It's so much more than what can get created when we're in fight or flight, tension, survival, controlling, protecting. And so what I think I wanted to share in this video today is, will you heed that invitation to live from love instead of fear? And what's happening globally right now, it's November 2021, it will continue to amplify to give us the clarity that living in fear is just going to create more fear and more lack and more limitation and more chaos and more disruption. And so wait a minute, what if I let that go? And what if I begin to live from love? Now, it might seem like that's really hard to do when we're in the middle of, quote unquote, we're in a global crisis. But actually, are we? What are you actually experiencing? Are you breathing air? Are you free to breathe? Are you eating and drinking food? And a lot of people in my community are like, whoa, I can't eat and drink anything. Find where there is freedom. You can only create more of what you do have. So wait a minute, here I'm in this 10 seconds. Do I have to be anywhere else? Can I just relax for a moment and connect with myself? When we live in that constant fear, fight or flight, we will always have evidence of why we can't let go, right? Why we are in crisis and we have to stay functioning this way. But if we look on a bigger scale of like, whoa, the week, the month, the year, what has that actually created for me? Did it create more prosperity? It will never create prosperity. And so will you begin to see that this whole thing that's playing out is just happening and intensifying so that we can see what gets created when we clamp down and we fight and we live in fear and we live in tension and we live in, I just got to protect. What happens when we live from survival instead of choosing to live from truth? Right? Like we live from the survival emotion versus the elevated emotion. And this is a lot of, we've created a workshop we're going to do for free next week. It's at drkimd.com/workshop about creating a new world, creating a world from prosperity instead of creating more from survival and fear, because we're just going to keep getting more of the same. And so for different factions of the society, we're awakening like, whoa, oh my gosh, no, that's not the way I want to do it. There will be more and more and more, subsets of society that will awaken. They just maybe need more clarity of like, oh, this divisiveness does just create more divisiveness. Being, clamping down in fear is actually just going to create more chaos and lack. Then they may not see that yet. You're starting to see it now. You've got the clarity you need. So just begin to look for ways, how can I create from love in my moment, in my body, in my world, in my work right now? And that is what we'll be doing in this workshop. It'll be a couple hours of doing some particular processes together in the workshop. And also it's an invitation for my Be the Medicine group for those practitioners, healers, coaches, or just individuals who are awakening to a new way of creating life, career, business, money, and are looking for, oh, how do I contribute in a different way? Who would I be? You've got to tune in your own system in order to know that. There's no like paint by number system of do these things and this will happen. You have to connect within yourself and everything happens, like everything. So this workshop is sort of like the intro for that Be the Medicine program, where I work with individuals over a period of 4 months in a small group to bring you through this awakening and bring you through that kind of manifestation of how do I begin to manifest from who I really am instead of from who I thought I'm supposed to be or the programs of what I'm told to do. So everyone is welcome to come to that first part, which will be the workshop for that, to increase the frequency of your business, increase the frequency of your life, increase the consciousness from which you are living, which will always change the physical world. It will change your physical business, money, relationships. But you have to do it from the depth of yourself. Another reason I was eager to come and talk today is after doing that session with Jessica for the Tapping Summit, I realized, and I said to her, like, wow, I'm really in the middle of another big unwinding personally in my life where, you know, you go through like, you know, waves of, that's kind of how it looks, where you're in a trajectory of expansion. It's not like a straight line. It's like it goes up and down where you're, you know, going through a higher state and then it's like, oh no, it comes down again right before it goes even higher than you've ever been before. And then it can maybe come down again. So each little cycle, your lows are still higher than where you ever were before, right? Like higher than even this high way back here. But they're going to feel low and they're going to feel a little contracted. And in these lows, like for me, I know there's a big acceleration happening of what am I stepping into even more fully in my own self and in my own life. And so when we come down, it doesn't feel high. It feels like, oh no, I feel contracted. I feel the fear. I feel all the patterns that want to just gear up and push harder. And so what will I choose when I'm in that space? Will I choose to remember what I know and allow this to coast through, which, you know, life is happening for me? Or will I maybe stay in that ditch a little 2 minutes longer because I resist the low? I resist maybe the fear, or I go into contraction. So it's okay. It doesn't matter how long it takes for me to move through that little bump. It matters that I remember, oh, I know what's happening. Oh yeah, I'm being invited into an expansion. Whenever there's expansion happening in life, we'll always have to go through a recalibration. Like, I'm not saying it has to feel bad or be drama. Sometimes it's just a little lower frequency than what we've gotten used to here. And so we can resist. Oh no, something's wrong. I want to be back up here. So wanting to increase my frequency actually keeps me in the slump, right? I want to get to a higher frequency. And that's why, especially with the workshop we'll do, it's not about trying to get somewhere I'm not. It's about being where I am as I am, how I am, more willingly. And one of the things that came up with the Alive Women retreat we had a few weeks ago, that was one of the most profound for me, was one woman said, I have sensation in my body and it's okay. How she'd been experiencing it was, this is not okay, that's not okay, I gotta manage that, I gotta control that. And trying to not have the experience, right? The tension or the pain or the fear, not experience the depth of the fear that was ready to move through. And so that's really been valuable to me, because I see that same thing happening for me right now, as there's like a huge acceleration to really be in like even more unity consciousness, even more unconditionality of peace, even more knowing that I know, and less, you know, triggered or get little hooks here and there. So that's what's happening, and that's what I'm choosing. But that recalibration, you know, it's like, oh yeah, wait, let me embrace this. Let me welcome this. I'm willing to sit in this space that feels a little dense as long as I sit in the space that feels a little dense. And so I've gotten better and better and better at welcoming the the density, it still will feel like just as much, it will feel dense. And that's one way we make it wrong, is we think, oh, I've already dealt with that. Oh no. No, it's just another, the next deeper part of it, moving out, moving out, moving out. So I'm really grateful to be aware of what the process is that I'm in. I'm really grateful there is a speeding up happening. I do know what it's about. And for sure, it's inevitably about living in unconditional harmony and peace and prosperity instead of conditional, right? In some ways, it's still been conditional. And be, buy into the fear for nothing, be anxious for nothing, being no longer willing to get hooked and function that way, right? Function as the, because there's like little ways it still creeps in. And so for all of us, I think that's the invitation, is like, will I be willing to be where I am, as I am, how I am, and feel what I'm feeling, and be experiencing what I'm experiencing that maybe I'm wanted, as opposed to like try to, squirm my way out of it, which is tensing, controlling. So I would love you to join me for the workshop if that resonates. It's at drkimd.com workshop. If you are interested in checking out the Be the Medicine program and potentially being a part of that group, it will be a relatively small group. It's at drkimd.com/BTM. And we'll work together for 4 months during that journey. It's probably one of the most powerful things I've created. I really love that program. So that is at drkimd.com/BTM, and we'll start at the end of November. But for all of us, everyone who's listening to this broadcast or watching the recording, we are 100% ready to move out of operating in fear. Don't let anything hook you. Don't let anything scare you. Like, wait a minute, is that actually true that that's a threat? Is that actually true that I'm not okay? Is that actually true that I have to compromise myself and give up my freedom? Or maybe not. Maybe the more I embrace my freedom, the more prosperity shows up in my world. The more I embrace my freedom, the more resilient is my body. The more I embrace my freedom, the more I light up with vitality, because we have seen this to be true, scientifically and medically, definitively true. So let yourself operate a little bit more every day in that truth. All right, I love you guys. Thank you for being here. I'll see you soon. Bye.